Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having an absolutely fantastic day. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. In news that I think was meant to revolutionize the world in some sort of way, I'm not joking, you'll see what I mean. Coinbase is apparently moving to what they call simplify digital asset transactions and expand availability to several regions with 3 new features for Coinbase wallet users. So hear me out here. All of you, I would assume, if you're watching this channel, you are probably already in crypto. You know how to move crypto. It's quite simple. It's really not that more difficult than sending a transaction through online banking. With online banking, you need this, you need that, you need the name, you need the so-and-so. Multiple things have to go inside of it. When you send crypto, you basically need like the public key, like the really long string of letters, and then like how much you want to send. Coinbase is saying that they found a brand new way to be able to make crypto more accessible when it already is accessible for everyone around the world. They say that they're bringing crypto transactions to several regions around the world when these regions already have cryptocurrency transactions, and this is all going to be happening through their Coinbase wallet, which means that you would then be required to use Coinbase wallet as opposed to your own crypto wallet that you are trying to use. It's basically another way for them to make fees on the side and also to essentially track your transactions. Coinbase Wallet now offers the option. This is a cool part. Now offers the option to transfer cryptocurrencies with a link sent over WhatsApp, Telegram, iMessage, Snapchat, TikTok, and apparently email, among others, as part of its strategy to propel mass adoption and easy payments. So instead of having to do anything fancy schmancy, you apparently would just have to like click a link or send a link to someone, and that would be the way that you would actually send money. I would assume if you are sending something to someone through WhatsApp and you click on the link, it would then open up the Coinbase Wallet app for you to be able to receive the money. But why the extra step? If you have the Coinbase wallet and I have the Coinbase wallet, couldn't you just send me money through the Coinbase wallet? Why would you have to go onto Coinbase wallet to say that you wanted to send TMI money through WhatsApp? You enter my WhatsApp and my phone number. You send it to me on WhatsApp. I then open it back into the app that you originally... They said when your recipient clicks the shared link, it'll take them into the Coinbase wallet app. To claim or direct them to download the Coinbase... Yeah, okay, they want more downloads. To download the Coinbase wallet app on iOS or Android and create a new wallet in just one click. And then you also have to do like 14 hours worth of KYC, anti-money laundering stuff, because you're not going to be able... Imagine someone sent you $5 million worth of crypto, and in one click, you're like, oh, wow, money laundering's easy. I didn't know it was going to be that much fun. The funds can be claimed within 12 days, after which Coinbase will automatically refund the sender. According to America's largest, that's a very weird sentence. According to America's largest domestic crypto exchange, okay, just say Coinbase said, there are apparently no fees and settlement is instant. I would hope there are no extra fees to do the thing that I was already going to do through the wallet. And settlement is, okay, sure, why not? Here's the tweet for it right here. It says, send money anywhere you can send a link. Almost like you could do that by yourself, but they want you to use Coinbase Wallet. Easily, instantly, and for free. That's absolutely fantastic. I can't believe we live in the future. Coinbase Wallet has supported fiat on-ramps in 130 countries to bolster liquidity and access. Per a announcement, the company onboarded cash payment methods in regions like Brazil, Nigeria, and the Philippines. This was, as you probably didn't guess, was actually incredibly popular news. I do think that it is cool that people will be able to essentially text people to be able to move money around. But then you're also kind of required to kind of like everyone needs the Coinbase wallet thing. But I guess as a company, they're just trying to be like Apple or Amazon or Google or just something big where they kind of have like the default wallet for everyone to end up using. But I'm not that big on centralized exchanges, and they know all this information about you, and they'd also have extra information of the person who you're trying to send stuff to. It's a lot of like tie-ins to all these different things, but I think maybe I'm just far more paranoid than the average bear. So that's the Coinbase wallet, and I was going to assume that this was in the United States. But apparently it's like in 130 different countries. So if you've used it, does it work well? Did you like it? Were there any extra steps? You know, what's the haps when it comes to all of this? It was very popular news, revolutionizing crypto since the day they were created. That's the Coinbase news. And yeah, let's move on. Probably this one blew the last news out of the water. This is probably the most popular thing we've ever had in the last like 95 years. During a period of rapid price increase for BTC, Fidelity's global macro director, his name is Jurian Timmer. That is Julian without the L and add R's, and not Trimmer, cut the R. So his name is Jurian Timmer. Suggested that having a small BTC investment in portfolios could be a bet on the upside potential due to the expectation of the approval of the first spot Bitcoin ETFs by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. Fidelity and BlackRock are currently the two largest companies who are vying for some form of a digital cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, ETF kind of thing going on. I could not find the article, and it was very frustrating because everything else I typed that was similar to it just gave me the results that I did not want. I believe it was about a month ago, Larry Fink, who is the head of BlackRock, I think he stated that it's something along the lines of like a 10 to 15% allocation of Bitcoin should be in every portfolio. I believe that's what it was. Like that was a number that he gave, and he was saying it can be even higher for institutions and companies and stuff like that who don't mind like a little bit more risk in their portfolio. BlackRock and Fidelity have basically taken the place of the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ. Like, of course, not in like a physical form, but back in 2017, 18, and 19, the New York Stock Exchange, head of the stock exchange and also of the NASDAQ, came forward like weeks apart as well, similar to this, stating that they both believe that Bitcoin is on its way to becoming a world currency. So this is kind of like a new age mimic of that, where they're now talking about the asset, percentage allocation for someone's portfolio and how big it could actually become in the future. Explaining the volatile nature of Bitcoin, Timmer stated that the risk-return ratio of the top cryptocurrency surpasses many assets like the S&P 500 and gold. Therefore, he argued that having some Bitcoin in portfolios could go a long way, and added, Bitcoin has become its own asset class in terms of risk and return this past decade. Bitcoin, for those of you who missed it, is the best performing asset that we've ever had on this planet. That's not a joke. That's like the actual thing. Like you can literally go back thousands of years and people have found artifacts and they have not made a return similar to Bitcoin over the course of the last decade. Nonetheless, over the course of the last 14 years, it's something like 3.5. No, it's even more than that. Maybe like 15 million %. Like it's something egregious. Max Kaiser was also in the news. I don't have it here. It was like, okay, sure, why not? He was just bragging. Max Kaiser was also recently in the news talking about all the Bitcoin that he has and procured quite early in the space. I think also went up by around 3 million % or something like that. So it is literally its own asset class. in this sort of way. And the idea of the risk to return is that Bitcoin is probably one of the riskiest assets that anyone on the planet, well, I mean, comparative to like not Shiba Inu and Doge, like you get it, like, you know, it's Bitcoin as its own asset class, is of course more volatile and risky-er than real estate or stocks, what have you. But the actual return comparatively is astounding. Talking about being able to get in a couple of years ago at 15,000, and now people are talking about a $150,000, $200,000, $250,000. Like, imagine buying a house for $300,000, and 6 years later, it's worth like $4.2 million. You can't really get that with basically any other asset that's kind of out there. Meanwhile, Fidelity spot Bitcoin ETF FBTC. This is also the other big news. So remember, we had the information this was weeks ago, maybe even months now. Time is acting really weird. Where there was the first listing of a Bitcoin ETF on the DTCC's website, and everyone completely lost their mind. Apparently, this is allegedly supposed to be like the last step before an ETF actually gets listed on a stock exchange. It appears on the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation's website. And the one for Fidelity has also now appeared there, as has BlackRock's, and also, what's the other one? It's not Kathy Wood's thing, but there's like another major company. I believe there are now 3 that are listed on there. And everyone has completely lost their minds once again, because we've been told by financial experts online that it tends to be the last step before the big stuff actually ends up happening. So very, very, very popular news. It's more of and I'll give you some actual numbers and figures for those of you who want something like a little bit more concrete. The news is that he said like a little bit of Bitcoin in portfolios, but that could be relative to like, you know, you have $5 billion. One of the more popular numbers that we don't really hear that much about anymore is the good old 0.28. Basically, if you hold zero, because of all this was like 2017, 2018. And since then, more Bitcoin has been accumulated. So the age-old thing was like, if you have your own Bitcoin, you are literally like one of the, you know, luckiest people on the entire planet. Like, kudos to you, golf clap. But if you happen to hold 0.28 Bitcoin, you are part of the 1% of Bitcoin holders, and there are literally billions of people who will never, ever be able to hold more Bitcoin than you. And I'm certain that number is probably even a lot lower now, as we've continued to see massive amounts of accumulation. So the less that there is for other people, essentially the less that you would have to own. Therefore, if you have 0.28, you are like the upper echelon of Bitcoin holders. You can look it up. That's the Fidelity Timmer guy. Talked about like 35 different things, saying that having a little bit of Bitcoin could go a long way, especially if you happen to believe the narrative that eventually Satoshi may reach dollar parity. So that 0.28 would essentially be $2.8 million, you know, if you really want to go that far. That's the Fidelity news. And yeah, let's move on. So I'm going to try and be nice here. I'm going to try, but it's a bit like, okay. So apparently El Salvador, the first country on the planet to use Bitcoin as legal tender, has unveiled a brand new way to receive citizenship through an investment initiative that they're calling. Now, I don't do too well with cringe. El Salvador's new citizenship by investment vehicle is called Adopting El Salvador Freedom Visa Program. Little cringy. Basically, they're trying to attract people who have money to move to El Salvador, and they say that they'll give you citizenship and a passport if you give them money. Apparently, they're asking for $1 million worth of Bitcoin or $1 million worth of Tether? I'm going to try and be nice here. This program offers residency and a pathway to citizenship with a non-refundable $1,000 deposit credited toward the total investment. Wow, how amazing. While aiming to generate, they want $1 billion with a B dollars from this. Apparently, there are only 1,000 spots for this, and they're trying to get $1 million per person, which would then be the country has made $1 billion. So here's where I'm going to try and be nice. I only have one tab here. This was so popular, I thought it was a joke. A lot of times we get news within the space and I see things, like I'll see it once and I kind of scroll by. I'm like, okay, cool. I saw it a second time and I was like, okay, other countries have the exact same thing. Saw it about 8 more times and I was like, okay, I'm going to click on it. And I read through all of it. I read through every single little thing, and it kept on saying the exact same thing. El Salvador is offering people citizenship. You get a passport. You basically are a citizen of El Salvador, and all they're asking is a measly $1 million. And I saw the number, and I was like, is that a joke? Because I'm pretty sure I remember years ago, there was a video, and I'm pretty sure I spoke about it on this channel as well. It was like a really big topic for some reason in 2017, 2018. A lot of people were asking about like how to move to other countries, how to get visas, how to buy citizenship and stuff like that. And there was a video that popped up on YouTube where this guy was like talking about like how to do it. It never really entered my head as like I assumed you had to go like the normal route, signing paperwork and stuff. Like the idea of money, of course, it just makes sense. Like, the world revolves around money. So there's actually there's hundreds of lists of other countries who basically do the exact same thing. But there's a really big problem, and I'll tell you exactly what. For those of you who are not looking at the screen, there's a list, and we're going to breeze through this. There's a list of, I think, around 15 different countries who are also offering permanent residency and or citizenship for money. Keeping in mind that El Salvador is $1 million. You can get it in Thailand as well for $19,000. So you see like one is $1 million and one is 19,000. They also have a 20-year elite residency for $65,000. Montenegro has one for $50,000. You can move here. $50,000 for, I believe, permanent residency and or a passport. Oh, no, sorry. $50,000 for the residency and 250,000 euros to be able to buy the actual citizenship. You have Latvia as well for 50,000 euros. You have Dominica for 100,000. Nation allows full citizenship for as little as $100,000. You have St. Lucia. They're also 100,000. Also, 140 for married couples. That's a little weird that they would charge more on that. You have Antigua and Bermuda. And that one's, either $100,000 as a donation or $200,000 in a state-approved local real estate. That's very specific. That's a weird way to write that. And then it goes to St. Kitts and Nevis. So anything between 100,000 and 200,000, you have St. Kitts, you have Grenada, you have Vanuatu, amazing, what a lovely name. You have Moldova. What else is there? Keep it going. Between 200,000 and 400,000, you have Cambodia, you have Turkey, you have Greece. Yeah. More than that, for over 400,000, you have Bulgaria, you have Cyprus, and you have Andorra. Oh, you also have Portugal as well, because Portugal is like, the place to kind of like, yeah. So when I saw the number 1 million, I was like, That's a joke, right? That's not an actual thing that people are trying to. Oh wait. So I shudder personally. I shudder to think that someone is going to spend $1 million, and this isn't in a mean way. It's more of a, there are other countries that are more prosperous economically that you could go get the same exact thing from. And even crazier, you can get like 8 of them. 8 around the world, passports, permanent residency, compared to one that's El Salvador. Once again, not being mean, it's more of like I'd rather go to Greece and Thailand and also to Andorra and still have like 200K left over. So, incredibly popular news. I can only assumption that someone is going to do this. I do not know if the government's going to make it all the way to their $1 billion that they're trying to make, but a wish, a hope, and a dream. That's the sure. You know what? I've heard crazier things news. And yeah, let's move on. You can literally move to Greece. You can get a European. Okay. Let's move on. Also in the news, the stablecoin company Circle has said that irreversible crypto transactions have left millions of people with heavy losses and has necessitated a new digital asset with greater flexibility. I mean, that's kind of, I think they're stretching it like in many different ways. One of the ways that companies will get you to be scared is the idea that you can't do something yourself. You are incapable of copy and pasting an address and sending the money to your friend. You're incapable of also, if you're trying to send, I'll give it to you this way. Let's say you're trying to send your friend like $5,000. Instead of sending your friend like the whole 5,000, what most normal people do is you send like $3. And then you're on the phone with them or like a video chat and they go, hey, I got $3. And then you send the rest of it to the exact same address. However, one of the things that, once again, companies will try to make you believe is that there's constantly money being missed. Like, I don't know how I'm not sending my cryptocurrencies right. And therefore, Circle seems to say that they have the actual solution for all of the millions of people who have heavy, heavy losses and are really, really sad because they can't copy and paste. Jeremy Allaire, CEO of USD coin issuer Circle, announced the launch of 2 new on-chain solutions focused on combating theft and illicit operations targeting assets on blockchains. And I'm glad that this is actually happening with a stable coin from a centralized stable coin from a centralized company. Because if this actually happened on a decentralized chain, people would go absolutely bananas. But as this is already centralized, of course, this was going to be a thing because stablecoins and stablecoin issuers and cryptocurrency exchanges are basically already trying to be like the new age banks of the future. The Circle boss cited reports of nearly $10 billion in crypto losses between 2021 and 2023, primarily due to hackers and exploiters launching attacks on decentralized protocols. Sure, Allaire added that these assets prove harder to repossess thanks to the irreversible design of crypto transactions. He said the adoption of on-chain payment methods such as stablecoins for commerce has been limited by the lack of reversibility in transactions, a key feature of modern payment systems. And they're trying so hard to not say that they just want to be the old financial system. These are all people, as far as we know, as far as we've been told in books and in legend, these were all normal people at some point who believed in the future of decentralization, of cryptocurrencies, of people around the world owning and democratizing finance in some sort of way. As these people have become uber wealthy, all they've done constantly is try and get information from you, try to link up your credit card, your debit card to your MetaMask, to your PayPal, to your Coinbase, and or constantly tell you that because of the way that things are in crypto, like the inherent nature of these things that they used to all love, we now basically have to go back to the old system, but like with the term Web3 attached to it. So like they can reverse your transactions and, make things a lot simpler for you. Web3, but also like, things are scary. So you have to do this because otherwise what's the way of actually, how do we move forward as a society if not backwards? USDC's creator published, and I quote, the recoverable token standard based on earlier research with Stanford University. Allaire added that the protocol was built to complement the base layer of money transmission and enable transfers to be revoked, making it possible to recover ERC20 tokens. I don't really have to read anymore. Basically, what they're trying to do with their stablecoin is add on new protocols to be able to reverse transactions. The usual problem is that they, as the company, would then be able to say yay or nay to where you're trying to send money. So hypothetical. It's not like this is already happening on the planet. Let's say you're in Toronto and you're trying to send your mother in country somewhere else around the world. And for some reason, country has just gotten U.S. sanctions because the U.S. felt like sanctioning someone else because that's just what they do. You try to send the payment and you see like a red flash on your screen and you go, oh, that's kind of weird. And you find out later on, can't send mommy money. But why not? Well, they're under sanctions. So the idea is that you can no longer do it. Why does that sound so familiar? Oh, because it's the system that we currently have. This is the reason why we have Bitcoin, so that you're able to send money around the world how you wish. And, and I don't bring up, because I've heard someone said it before and I looked at them and I was like, get out of my presence. The idea of people being like, well, what if bad people use it? What if bad people use the US dollar or the euro or the yen, or they're called JP Morgan Chase? You can't just simply say, well, bad people will use it. Bad people use everything. That's why they're called bad people. Like, I don't understand what kind of logic you're trying to have. The idea is that, and if you remember this correctly, when Sentiment and Glassnode first started, this was like 2018, 2019, the entire narrative before for crypto was that criminals use it. It's only bad people, only people trading and buying things they shouldn't be buying. And then these companies came forward and actually looked through the chains, therefore Glassnode, and they actually found out, I think, less than half of 1% of transactions would be considered illicit. That is to say, 99.5% plus of transactions are just people normally sending money or trading cryptocurrencies or sending their family some extra change on the side. So to be able to say that everything is scary and everything's terrible and everything's horrible and we need to go back to the old system. This is one of the problems that I also have when it comes to the idea of like glorifying Fidelity and BlackRock. Like, cool. Them getting into the space and being in the daily news, I hope and also hoped that it would also attract more attention from everyday normal people who would go, okay, the big boys are in it now. I know a lot of people were on the fences being like, who's using it? And now that we know who's using it, basically every rich person on the planet, I hope that we would see like an uptick in the amount of normal people who are also buying to kind of secure their future in this sort of way within the digital currency space. But then it also leads us to this discussion of like, we don't need them in the space. They're, of course, accelerating all of our movements and prices by maybe even a decade or something like that. But it's also like we're so wrapped up in trying to make Bitcoin succeed, but it was always going to succeed. We don't need, and I use this term lightly, we don't need the people who have previously been allegedly accused of destroying or harming the world to get into crypto to give it some kind of value. Bitcoin already has value. It's literally the network. It is the network sending money around the world. And because all these rich people get into it, then people go, oh, now it's definitely worth something. No, Bitcoin was always worth something. Bitcoin is probably always going to be around, probably forever, in some shape or form. And we can't conceptualize what the technology of Bitcoin will be in 100 years. Maybe like we're blinking transactions to each other. I don't really know. But anyway, this was also relatively popular. It has to do with Coinbase. It has to do with Circle. It has to do with their coin that they're really trying to push out there. The idea of being able to reverse transactions is not for simplification. It's not to help you. It's literally just for the government. The government wants these kinds of things so that if they say that something should not be, then therefore it will not be. It gets reversed. Your money goes back. You're back at the exact same thing where you were back in the 1970s going, I wish we had a brand new system. So as long as we have properly, this is why I said, I'm glad that this happened with a centralized coin from a centralized company. Because if this had happened to any other like decentralized coin, people would have flipped. So cool. Do as you wish with your stable coin that you're trying to get more popular, that you keep telling everyone around the world that they have to keep using because Coinbase and Circle are looking for new ways to make money, and also downloading the wallet app and all these other things in WhatsApp and Telegram. Fantastic. But is also, getting a little bit too close to that same exact line that we heard from one of the Bitcoin developers who was talking about that he wanted to basically destroy and get rid of Bitcoin NFTs by himself. And I was like, you can't do that when everything's decentralized. That's the Circle is going to be launching a recoverable token standard. Red flag. Red flag news. And yeah, let's move on. Also in the news, Kenya is apparently advancing a bill to regulate and tax cryptocurrencies, aiming to provide clarity and prevent financial crimes in the digital currency market. They're a government. They're going to say something like that. Kenya is set to transform its legislative landscape with a bill targeting cryptocurrency regulation and taxation. The Capital Markets Amendment Bill 2023, approved by the Finance Committee, is headed to the National Assembly for discussion. This is great news because they're not trying to ban it. There were a lot of countries within Southeast Asia and within portions of Africa who years ago were vehemently against the idea of cryptocurrencies. It usually sometimes has to do with like inward governmental corruption. For those of you who don't know, every government's corrupt. Every single one of them. And part of the problem that a lot of them had with Bitcoin and blockchain was basically like the traceability. So being able to see where the transactions are happening on chain and who wrote what and who did what. The problem is that if you or the world switches to a Bitcoin blockchain standard and everything is essentially written, especially in the government, like imagine everyone's using a computer in their office, but every single thing that they write gets written on the blockchain in some sort of way. You can't really launder $5 billion without literally the entire world knowing if you're doing it. So a lot of countries years ago were kind of like, no, we're gonna take a step back. A couple of them ended up banning it. A lot of the bans weren't even real. There was a podcast, this must have been 2018, this is so long ago, 2019, where this guy, I can't remember the country, I want to say Kenya or Nigeria, I can't remember. He was from there, and he was basically saying that he got into Bitcoin and everyone looked at him like a monster. And he couldn't understand. He was like, why? What's going on? What's the problem? Like, it's illegal. You're doing something illegal. And he's like, what do you mean? So he said he checked online, looked it up. There was nothing illegal about crypto. He kept on doing it for a couple of weeks and everyone was like, you're gross. You're disgusting. Like, I heard this on the news. And he was like, what are you talking about? Apparently, one of the central bankers of that country came forward and talked about how they were opposed to Bitcoin, a la, Jamie Dimon, always talking negatively about Bitcoin when we know that he owns it. And that was enough for people in the country to believe that the central banker saying that something was wrong with it, they trusted the banks that don't even like them. And that's kind of the misinformation that ends up being spread. But now, I say this all the time, we have not had news of a country banning Bitcoin in a very, very long time. It's always a kind of a extended period of time that it takes a country or countries to come forward and say, hey, we're going to tax it and regulate it instead. Now, it would be foolish to believe that any country is just going to let people go willy-nilly with this as they're trying to protect their 9,000-year-old fiat currency. But anytime that we hear that it's not being banned, it's a very good day. This only allows more people in these countries to really get a hold of it and start early. And for those of you who missed the wise words, I have no idea. Wise words of Andreas Antonopoulos, Charles Hoskinson, and Jack Dorsey. It is widely believed that Africa and Southeast Asia are basically going to usher the world into this like brand new, I don't want to say like tech utopia, but it's like, this is why India also gets so much energy as far as like regulating cryptocurrencies, because this will essentially allow another billion plus people legally to be able to get into crypto. And we see a lot of Africa also being like hyper built up right now with like a huge tech sector. So cool. Not the most popular news, but I did find a couple of tabs for, I think there was also one right here. So yeah, they're going to regulate it. It will not be banned. This is absolutely fantastic. We probably maybe will not have news as to like the day that this takes place. But every time this happens, it's very, very good for the cryptocurrency space. Yes, I do sincerely hope that you are... What? That you're enjoying? Wait. Hello, everybody. No, that's wrong. I hope you all enjoy. There we go. Hope you all are having... How did I get that wrong? Hope you all are having a great day. I'm like, hello, everybody. Hope you all are having a great day. Morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever the heck you might be, I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and or supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.